All right. Are we live? Check one more time. If this doesn't work, we'll just record an end to the cast. I'll edit it together.
That was a good hoot off in the background.
Yeah, my dad likes those sounds.
All right.
Now I see a live. I see a live now.
Okay,
I think.
we're back. If people that were watching the chat before, I'm so sorry. My internet blinked for a second. And it kept saying we were live on my end. So I was like, all right, well, we're fine. So we just kept talking. So I don't know where we left off. But we can continue our conversation from where we were.
Fair enough.
So we were talking about all the different people we might want to work with or at least meet. I don't know if you have anyone you'd like to work with or meet someday, Laurie.
McFarlane. I'd love to meet him.
Okay.
He seems like a nice dude. He seems like he'd be just easy to talk to, and he'd give good advice. And yeah.
So now I know you guys are your own independently owned and run comic book company. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages to self-publishing? I guess let's start with the positive. What are the advantages of it?
Yeah, well, and let's make a distinction between self-publishing and being a publishing company that's really, really small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, advantages are you can publish a superhero book, which is virtually impossible right now unless you publish it yourself, because absolutely no one is interested in superhero properties.
Interesting.
Like they won't even look at it. They won't glance at it. They will throw it in the garbage. Some websites for submissions on the public, like they even say like, don't give us a superhero. Like
in bold print, serious.
Yeah. So that's an advantage. You can, in terms of content, you can do anything you want to. It's kind of like it's your deal. You're in charge. You're figuring stuff out. It's good in terms of you make your own deadlines, and sometimes you kind of have to. Unfortunately, you can't. John knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, and so like if you're working for Marvel, their deadlines are insane and they don't pay much. Right. We don't pay much, but the deadlines are easier.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much count on somebody upstream of you screwing up. So.
Yeah, I was just saying, well, like you guys get to do whatever content you want.
Exactly.
Which is creative freedom's also nice.
So, like, I'm in a position where I'm working with a small publisher, working with Laurie. I have also self-published, and self-publishing is cool because you get to do exactly what you want. You're in control of every piece of money that comes in, but you're doing it all yourself. There's no help. There's no infrastructure. Like I worked at a publishing company before I started doing this kind of crap for myself, and there's a person whose job it is to get you publicity. There might even be a department for that. There's a department to make sure that your book is distributed to national retailers. So like every little thing you got to do yourself, or Laurie has to do for me, which I'd rather.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, even working in our comic book store, it's not the same as publishing stuff, but we kind of all need to specialize into different things. Just that way we can work on different stuff at the same time. And, some, like, for instance, Becca at the store is better at social media and stuff than me, so I just kind of defer to her to a lot of that stuff. But we all jump in and help each other out where we can, because there's so much. Because I assume running this, we're similar in that we're both running small businesses. Where like if you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
And Ben Franklin had that great like anybody who would sacrifice a little essential liberty for temporary safety deserves neither. So there's always, like, on one end there's liberty, and on one end there's safety. And self-publishing, a lot of liberty, zero safety. And it's just finding the sweet spot in between where you want to work and who you want to work with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess that's some of the disadvantages there too. It's like if you don't get, it doesn't get done. It doesn't. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. You kind of have to work a full-time job. Yeah, you know. You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only.
Well, I've had to kind of learn how to be an accountant and a lawyer, and because like we can't afford to hire that stuff, so there's a lot of like if you actually want to be a functional company and you want to get bigger and stuff, like you kind of have to do that stuff yourself or have a lot of money. So
yeah, that's how they say you make a small how to make a small fortune in small business. Start with a large fortune.
Okay, I like that.
I believe that. Not saying it's don't get me wrong, like even what we do, like it's fun to do what you do, because you don't start this stuff because just to be like, well, I need a job. You do it because you want to do it.
Right.
And then you work hard at it because you want to make it work. And you guys have been, I guess, publishing books now for almost 10 years. So you must be doing something right,
Yeah.
I have a day job too,
Yeah. Yeah, say most writers and artists I know also have a day job as well. I have a day job too. I don't always podcast for I just do this for fun. I haven't gotten to the point where it makes me money, but that's something for another day. We mentioned Dungeons and Dragons and Wizard of the Coast enough in some past episodes. I'm like, they should start paying us.
They should.
Oh, that would be great.
Or pay me or sue me, one or the other.
Well, no publicity is bad publicity. Yeah. So since you guys, I guess we kind of went into this a little bit earlier, but like, what advice you'd have for someone interested in making their own comics? I guess the advice was just do it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like postcard advice. That's the old saw. If you're a writer, you got to realize that you have to pay people. And so many writers come out of it thinking, like, I'm in a band in my garage and none of us are getting paid. Like, how come we can't just have a jam session on a comic book? Because there's a whole ton of really crappy writers out there who are trying to rope artists into hundreds of hours of work for free. So trust and that kind of stuff doesn't come easy. It helps to be able to pay people what they're worth.
Yeah. I was about to say, I know some comic book creators, the writer, it's my story, and then they kind of like dictate what the artist should be doing. I think the best comics come from more of a collaborative element with your between you and an artist.
All right. Yeah, so if I'm paying you an outrageous page rate, I get to say what goes. But if we have reached some sort of trust and middle ground, then absolutely we need to. And you know what, writers? It's not a 50-50 split, and you don't come out on top.
Yeah. Yeah, because the art's telling a story on and of itself. Like the best, I'm not just trying to diminish your work as a writer, but some of the best.
Please do. Everybody else does.
Some of the best comic book stories and like art, you can take the speech bubbles completely out of it and still tell what's happening.
Absolutely, and finding that person is really, really important. Also know that the first couple of things you do are going to be good enough to get past that stage in your career, but when you look back on it, they're not going to be that great.
Oh yeah, like every aspect of life, but especially if you're any kind of artist, if artist, writing's an art as well, being a storyteller. But like, you should always be doing better today than you were yesterday. So you
Absolutely.
should look back on your older stuff and like kind of cringe a little bit. You don't want. I mean, granted, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be amazing if your very first project was you hit it out of the park and it's like an instant classic and everyone loves it and it stands the test of time. But then like you don't want that to be. Where do you go from there?
Right.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
If you're not improving, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe maybe you just have that one story you want to tell and you told it, and like maybe you're done or whatever. But like most people I know that are interested in doing this stuff are interested in making a career out of it if they can.
Yeah. And the amount of work, like ass and chair, time, figures on the keyboard that I put into a script is far less than the artist will spend on any given page. By proportion, I do a lot of work when I'm like walking around making coffee, like I'm thinking it all out and I write it all down in a notebook, but there's no way to compare what I do to the amount of detail and the amount of like craftsmanship that goes into the art, the visual art of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like writers, yeah, we get to be creators. We get to have the idea and we get to say what happens. But unless we're paying everybody every penny that they're asking for, we're not the boss.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, like I said, one of the good things to loop back to what I was talking about earlier. One of the good things about being so interconnected now is it's easier than ever to probably find a writer and an artist. Because some people are like, I want to draw a comic book, but I'm not a writer. Like I can't come up, I don't have a story. So maybe you need someone to help have that spark with you. I know me and my friend Kendall, who he and his wife make our local comic Star Savior Bunny. Which is crazy because this is the thing, making comics is what we've been talking about doing since high school, which was multiple decades ago now. But I know one of the things we do is just like we'd have like a lot of brainstorming sessions and then just take notes, and then from there whoever is in, quote unquote in charge would then like sit down and actually type it all out and put it together. But like I imagine there's got to be a lot of creative back and forth. But like people can do what we're doing here, hop on a webcam,
sure,
talk to each other. You can screen share and like art and draw and all that stuff together.
Yeah, and I'm old enough that like I know how to do FTP, man. I can put files on a piece of web property that I own and give you a link to it.
Yeah.
We've been able to do that for 20 years or so, and collaborative efforts have really taken off. I think it's great.
Yeah. So I guess the general thing is like, yeah, if you want it to get done, if there's a will, there's a way. And yeah, like I said, don't expect to be the next Stanley right off the bat.
I'm not sure if this is a logical converse, if this is like a converse statement, but conversely, for everybody with enough grit and determination to create 22 pages of comic art, there are fewer gatekeepers, right? There are fewer editors who say, that's good, this is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can trust, right? So that's awesome if you have an idea and you're tired of people saying no and you can make your thing happen. You'll also find that there's a lot of bad news bears kind of scrub teams out there, filling up space. That's a terrible thing for me to say.
Well, I get what you mean though, but like a lot of people like to view editors as the bad guys, but you get an editor you trust that like gets what you're doing.
Yeah.
They can take it to another level.
Yeah, and they can tell you this idea isn't good. Please come back.
Yeah, and sometimes you need that because sometimes you might be too close to your own work and you need someone else to step back. But that's another good thing for writing and whatnot, like writing in art, like the whole process. But like I'm more of a writer. I'm not really an artist, so that's more where I come from. But like you need to have somebody else look at your work, and they have to be someone you can trust to give you real opinions on it. You don't want someone just to be nice and be like, oh, it's all great, and then once it gets out there, because strangers aren't going to be nice to you about that stuff on the internet.
Your mom is, strangers are not.
Yeah, I've actually dealt with a lot of issues like this as an editor. I mean, John has too, I'm sure. A lot of people think that, like, they see what we're doing and they think that it's going to happen right away, with just what they have. And like, I'll look at their script and be like, look, like, this isn't good enough. You need to fix this. You need to do this. And they'll just kind of ignore me and then try anyway. And then yeah, so if you want to do this yourself, I would suggest, like, I mean, take advice with a grain of salt, because some people are just assholes for no reason. But like, if someone's trying to help you and tell you, like, maybe this is something you should do, or something I tell people a lot is to, like, build a fan base before crowdfunding, because a lot of people, again, they see our Kickstarters, they're like, holy shit, like $10,000, like, that's amazing, like, you made that to make your comic book. And I'm like, no, like, that took like years of building an audience and like a newsletter list and like people who want to come crowd. Like, you're not going to just run a Kickstarter and make $10,000 99% of the time with nothing. Like, it's not.
I was about to say, because how many successful Kickstarters have you guys run now? Like a dozen?
I think we're on our 9th. I think this is our 9th.
It seems like that's part of what makes you guys always have a successful Kickstarter, is you already have that pre-installed loyal fan base. Like, I know every time you guys do a new one, because full disclosure, I back you guys on Kickstarter.
Thank you.
Every time you guys do a new one, all of your old Kickstarters have a thing linking to it. So whenever a new one starts, I get like 40 emails now.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
That's fine. But I'm like, I don't need this. I know these guys. Like, they tell me when stuff's coming. But,
it's just that there's different backers on each one. I know. I feel terrible every time. Like, I send one to each Kickstarter, like, letting people know, and I'm like, I know there's people who have backed every single one who are getting like 12 emails, and I feel terrible.
It's fine. If they back all of your Kickstarters and they're still doing it, I'm sure they don't mind.
Thank you. That actually.
Yeah. No, that's one of the things I always like about your guys is you have a very, very friendly community. I mean, we have a pretty good one at the store too. So I know whenever people would come in, like, oh, when's the next issue of Super? When's the next issue of whatever? So that's always gratifying to see. Like, especially when because we do have many local comics, and some of them do have multiple issues going on. So people do subscribe to them. Like, I can set you guys up as a pull box, like we do for any Marvel or DC book. So, like, someone could subscribe to Batman and the Surgeon, and we have people that do. So, whenever, but they'll occasionally ask me, like, when's the next issue? When's the next issue? I'm like, well, it's when they make it. I can't tell you when.
Yeah, these guys are indies.
But most people are pretty understanding, because, like I said, Zach was always at the store, so people got a pretty good idea, like, because he would chat with people and whatnot, of how long it would take. And that's one, like I said, that's one of the challenges of being so indie. I know we use indie as kind of a broad term in store. It essentially just means everything that's not Marvel and not DC.
Right.
But that's just because I need to put some title on that part of the wall.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's not enough Image or Dark Horse books to, like, make their own full part. But I do have local comics, which has their own permanent section, which I have you guys come into, and then your guys' stuff doesn't get buried. We originally also put your stuff up on that wall too with the indie things, but it didn't. It's just you become like one thing amongst like dozens. This keeps you a little bit more focused, because we love our local comic creators, and we love supporting people that are making comics because this is what you want to do. You want to be successful.
Thanks.
It's not just you guys. It's everyone in our section.
And that whole question of like how it ends up in the store too, like, outside of a Kickstarter arrangement, doesn't end up in the store unless we take it there.
Yeah.
And then when we take it there and we develop the relationship with the store, and they start displaying it the right way so that it sells, and people start asking questions. The local shops are, where the virus spreads. I don't mean that in the bad way. I mean that in the good way.
Yeah, timing on that one. Um, we do.
I realized it as I was saying
we
it.
do
I was like,
require
"Ooh,
people
that's
to
good."
We are requiring people to wear masks, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But no, like we get a lot of cold calls and emails from various comic creators, and sometimes they're not a good fit. And more often than not, though, I do want to carry their stuff. It's just you've got to find the right balance of stuff. I want to
Yeah.
carry more than we are able to, but without getting into too much full disclosure here, we get a lot of people submitting stuff to
I'm
us.
sure. Well, just like we were saying, there's nothing standing in the way of you making the comic book that you want to
And
make.
that's great. Yeah, I think but like I said, I do want to I want to have events and stuff. One of the things I've been wanting to do for forever is have kind of like our free comic book day event. Because you guys haven't been to them, but like we basically put on a huge Comic-Con throughout our mall, where we have like thousands of people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a big deal. We had to cancel it this year because of COVID. I want to do a local artist one so bad, like in the summer, but like now who knows when we can start doing stuff like that now.
Right.
One day.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've wanted to do for a really long time, is be like invite everyone that's has a comic. I don't care if it's just something you Xerox at the library. I want to have everyone have a chance to come out, meet potential fans, talk to each other, like have a real big fun event about it. And then have some of our more established people, like off the top of my head, I can think of Alton Simpson would probably be a good one. He writes the Vampires of New Jersey book. I know he's about to start launching Werewolves of Brooklyn, the spinoff. There's tons that I'm forgetting. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm really bad with names. But I would have like Richard Zach's one of our guys. My friends Kendall and Kayla, they're married, so they just work on it together at home. But I know they do their comic originally as it comes out as a web comic first. Like they have their own self-imposed deadline. They have to have a page up every week, and I don't think they've missed it yet, or if they've like explained like people like, hey, we're going on vacation, we're not going to have one this week, stuff like that. But they try to have like an original like mini comic every time they come out to one of our shows. Yeah, so I would love to have like an event like that. But like I said, who knows when that can happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do some sort of like streaming online thing. Usually when we do the really big ones, I'm not the one streaming it. So my internet is really bad. It's usually Becker who does it. Like we did Free Comic Book Day online earlier this year, where we kind of did a bunch of pre-recorded videos, and then we would host them in between and do giveaways and fun stuff. But I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to get kind of late here. So I don't know if we want to start getting to this stage where we want to wrap it up. If there's anything else you guys want to go over that we haven't hit yet.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll obviously link to the Kickstarter in the description for this.
Thank you.
But where social media wise, how can people find you?
Facebook is just Unlikely Heroes Studios. Twitter's at UH Studios. Instagram is UH Studios Official.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's LAF Inker on Twitter and LAF Model on Instagram. Just Laurie Foster on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find.
So there are a couple of John Pences on Facebook. I think I'm number 7. But like on Facebook, that's like sandwiches and like workout stuff and comics and a bunch of other shit. Instagram is more professional, but you're still going to get pictures of my dogs and my chickens. But there I'm Bubba Sattva, like a bodhisattva is the BUBBA SATTVA. That's me. I have a Twitter too, but I hate it because Twitter.
Yeah, it seems like nothing good comes from Twitter. I mean,
nothing good comes from
It's
Twitter.
not my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the store has all that stuff too. If you're watching this, you found some of it. But we have a Twitter.
Yeah, just follow the links.
Yeah, I'll try to post some links for you guys in the description for this as well. But yeah, definitely go check out the Kickstarter. Maybe by the time you got there, we've unlocked some stretch goals.
That would be dope because we got there are more coming than is what is shown on the thing.
Mhm.
Like, we wrote some down, but there are more.
Okay.
They're surprises.
I hope
Yes.
I hope we hit all of them, especially because I backed it, which means I get all of that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining me so much for our first live episode of Level Up and Friends. You guys also sort of got the first episode where the new name, it used to be the New Level Up Entertainment Podcast. Since we used to have an old one, and I couldn't come up with a better name than that until now. This one's a little bit more accurate, but it's I'll try to figure out more to get around some of these technical issues in the future, and I'll do more live episodes. And maybe I'll have you guys on a normal one sometime. We'll talk about some other kinds of comics or something else or whatever anyone's interested in. The podcast is more or less just like, here's what I feel like talking about this week. Here are people I want to talk about it with.
Anytime, buddy. Thanks for
Awesome.
having us. And,
Yeah,
and
sounds
thanks to
good.
everybody who listened and watched for giving a shit about the Indies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks to everyone who watched and commented and asked some questions. That was fun, and hopefully we can do some more of that again in the future. I really enjoy talking with you guys and doing this show for everybody, essentially. But I guess with that, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay safe.
I'll try